Ocarina of Time is one of the best Zelda games maybe ever. So a release on the Nintendo Switch for the Zelda 35th anniversary makes a lot of sense, right? Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but I also have some serious doubts. Either way, whatever we get for the anniversary is going to be amazing. And in this series, yes, I said series, we are going to look at just that. We are going to do a deeper dive on what we might get from Nintendo for the Zelda 35th anniversary, and we are starting with Ocarina of Time. What's up, guys? Welcome back, or welcome in for the first time. If you are new here, do me a favor. Go down to the description, click the link, and hop in our Discord. We are in there every day talking about Zelda, Animal Crossing, all kinds of other stuff. So I'll see you there after this video. So as I said, this is gonna be a series. As long as you guys enjoy this video, I'm gonna continue to do more of these. So leave a comment below on which Zelda game you would like me to cover next. Also, if you do like this video and want to see more, obviously you can show me that by leaving a like. Okay, just to get everybody caught up here, in case you don't know anything about Ocarina of Time, it is the first 3D Zelda game, and it came back all the way back in 1998. That's back when 3D games were a very new thing, and Ocarina of Time was doing it big. I mean, honestly, at the time, this game really had it all. An amazing story, great dungeons, awesome bosses to fight, really cool mechanics, and a big open area to explore that connected towns and forests and castles. I mean, it really did have everything. And you see that in games today, but you know, back then, to have something like that, this was a new idea for us. We had not seen these giant areas like this before. So this was a pretty influential game. Not only did this affect future Zelda titles going forward, but it affected a ton of other games and really had a huge impact on the industry as a whole. So obviously, being as big of a deal as it was, the game was remastered and then brought over to the 3DS. I believe that was in 2011. Not only was the game at this point much easier on the eyes, but it was also a little bit easier to play. They added in a few quality of life things and just kind of reworked the controls to a modern controller, not the Nintendo 64 controller. And honestly, that's my preferred way to play the game at this point. Now, with the original version on the 64 and the remastered on the 3DS, you may be asking, why do we need another version of this game on the Switch? And that's really a good point, and a valid one. We may never see this game come to the Switch. It's already got 2 versions, and the last one didn't come out that long ago. And obviously there are plenty of other games in the Zelda franchise that we would love to see on the Switch. But I think I can make a case for Ocarina of Time, and that is what I am going to try to do with the information I have as of the time of recording this video. So let's start with the trademark registrations we saw Nintendo file earlier this year. Now, we saw them do the same thing with the Mario 35th anniversary. They went back, got a lot of trademarks renewed for Mario. They did a lot of stuff. You know, we did see a ton of stuff come out, you know, shoes, games, t-shirts, you know, all kinds of stuff. But there is something just a little bit different about this one that we didn't see them do with Mario. And it could be nothing. It could be all of us, you know, just reaching for any branch we can latch a hold of, but then again, it really could be something. So Nintendo did renew the name Ocarina of Time for another 10 years, but it was not just a simple renewal. They actually went in and made a brand new registration for Ocarina of Time, and I believe that was in Europe and Australia. Now, as I understand it, and from what I have seen, it looks like a new registration of this type kind of makes it look like they're going to be either redoing the game in some way or making a new version of it. Now, could this be a coincidence and it's actually for something completely different that we just aren't thinking of or haven't thought of yet? Yes, very possible. This might be for something we don't even know is coming yet. Or it could just be for nothing. We really don't know. But for the sake of this video, let's go ahead and take that information and let's just talk about how we might see them bring Ocarina of Time to the Switch. Because in my opinion, I think there's 3 ways it's possible. 2 of these ways are the way I would much rather see this happen. The first one I'm going to talk about right now is possible, but I really hope if we see this game, this is not the way we see it. Now, I think the first way that we could see this game come to the Switch is in some type of a 3D collection, like we saw the Mario 3D All-Stars collection. Now, for argument's sake, let's just say they follow that path. And in that scenario, we would end up getting the original version of Ocarina of Time that we got on the Nintendo 64. I really hope that doesn't happen. And then maybe that's followed with something from the GameCube, which would be obviously Wind Waker. And if we're following the Mario 3D stuff, maybe we get the original version of that, but it's widescreen. And then we get something with that from the Wii. Maybe Twilight Princess. Maybe they follow the same thing they do with Galaxy, and we get Skyward Sword with reworked motion controls. Now, possible, not very likely, but it is something we should think about because, you know, we just saw them do that. So it's very possible they could just do the same thing again. I doubt they would do the same thing exactly twice in a row, especially since they already have remakes of a lot of these games ready to go. Kind of seems like a waste to give somebody the GameCube version of Wind Waker when the HD version, which is clearly better, is there, it's ready. All you have to do is port it. So that's probably not the way we'll see it, and I think most of us are probably pretty happy about that. Now, the second way, which I think is probably a lot more possible at this point, is us getting Ocarina of Time kind of in the same way we got it on the 3DS. As I just said, they've already updated this game. They've put new textures in the game. They've reworked the controls. Everything's already there, and this wouldn't be the first time we've seen a game ported from the 3DS to the Switch. Now, an example we can look at that's pretty much had the same thing done to it as far as coming from the 3DS to the Switch is Monster Hunter Generations. Now that was a 3DS game, a pretty decent looking 3DS game that they completely reworked. You know, not only did they up-res the entire game, but I'm pretty sure they added in new textures and, you know, just kind of brought it up to speed with some of the other stuff that was on the Switch. Now it's not the prettiest thing on the Switch, obviously, but it does look miles better than it did on the 3DS. And I think we may see Ocarina of Time come to the Switch in the same exact way. Now, how much more upgrading they will do to things like textures, resolution, obviously we don't know that, but I think it's fair to say we could probably look at Monster Hunter Generations and get a pretty good idea of what we would see in a port like that. And before we get to the third way I think it might come to the Switch, it actually brings up another question, and that is not only did we see Ocarina of Time come to the 3DS remastered, but we also saw Majora's Mask. Would they include Majora's Mask with Ocarina of Time in this package? If you ask me, I think that makes a lot of sense. They both use pretty much the same exact assets. Everything's pretty much the same in these games. So you could easily do them both together at the same time, put them on one cartridge, and definitely justify the $60 price tag a little bit better. But I can tell you this, either way, if Majora's Mask is included or not, I can tell you for sure this game will still be $60. You can take that to the bank. Okay, so the third way that this game could come to the Switch, obviously, this is in a dream world. I'd say this is probably very, very unlikely, but again, possible, is we could see a complete remake of Ocarina of Time on the Switch. Now, again, I know that's probably not gonna happen, but for the sake of what we are doing in this video, we're just gonna talk about it for a second, because to me, that would be my ideal way to replay this game again in a completely new way, with maybe an extra dungeon added, or maybe elements from some of these Zelda games that came after it incorporated into Ocarina of Time. And I know we all hoped for this when we heard Mario 64 was coming to the Switch. We all hoped, man, what if it's a remake? Because we've seen what people have done with the Unreal Engine on YouTube to not only Mario, but Ocarina of Time. There's been some absolutely amazing stuff done with both of those games that I really wish Nintendo would stop hiding from everyone and just embrace, take it in, do it yourself. So I mean, as unlikely as that is, if they do decide to do it that way, I mean, the possibilities are really unlimited, they're endless. So I think those would be the three ways that we would see this come to the Switch. If you guys have any other ideas or any other ways you might think that it may end up on the Switch, definitely leave those in the comments below. So let's just say what I've said about one of these scenarios comes true. So then we have to ask ourselves this question: when will Nintendo tell us about this? And when will this be released? As we know, well, I guess we don't know, as we hope, Breath of the Wild 2 is coming at the end of 2021. I mean, I hope. I think everything's setting up for that to be the holiday game. I'm sticking to my guns with that. I think Breath of the Wild 2 is the holiday game. So if we're getting another big title like this, and you know, like the Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, like those are some of my favorite games, but those just wouldn't hold as much weight as Ocarina of Time coming to the Switch. I think that would be a way bigger deal. So I believe that if you're gonna put that game out on the Switch, it would have to be pretty much at opposite ends of the year from Breath of the Wild 2. So my guess is, if something like this were to happen, if we may see, who knows, a direct, maybe late December. I mean, that's being very hopeful. January, early February, and then we may see this thing in March, April, totally possible. And now with that, there's something else we need to think about. Nintendo is also rumored to be dropping a Switch Pro, or new Nintendo Switch, whatever we're calling it now, in 2021 as well. And that's also rumored to be coming out in March, April, May-ish. As we know, Nintendo likes to release new consoles with Zelda games. They've done it a lot. They've done it a lot. So here's the big question. As we know, Nintendo has been moving things around, clearly. We know that. We've talked about it in previous videos. I mentioned it in my last Zelda 35th anniversary video, which I'll link here. Nintendo has clearly been moving things around. Now, maybe what we've heard about this new Switch release has also been moved. Maybe they have just moved that to go with Breath of the Wild 2 at the end of the year. You know, that would make sense, being the holidays, putting a new system out during the holidays, you know, makes sense. But what if they didn't? Maybe Ocarina of Time, this new version of Ocarina of Time, is what is going to come out with the Switch Pro. Now, if that is the case, I do believe it's probably a full-on remake, which again, I think is unlikely. So here's my best guess. I think this game comes out March, maybe April. The Switch Lite may come out with it, may. If it doesn't, they've moved that back to Breath of the Wild 2, and I think they would drop a special edition Switch, the Switch we have now, right alongside this remaster or whatever this would be of Ocarina of Time. I think Ocarina of Time is a big enough game to get its own special edition Switch, especially if maybe this is the last special edition Switch of this version that we actually see. But even saying that just makes me worried, because then we probably aren't going to be seeing a special edition Switch Pro for Breath of the Wild 2. We may get both. Highly doubt that, but I will say we are going to get one or the other. I would put money on that. I don't know how much, but I would definitely put some money on that. So guys, I really hope that you have enjoyed this video, because I really enjoyed making this video. I think it's super fun to speculate about these things, and honestly, I just love Zelda. So, you know, with the 35th anniversary coming up, I'm super excited about this stuff. But like I said, I hope you guys like this video and want me to make another one. Make sure you let me know in the comments below if you do want to see another one, and if you do, what game should we talk about next? Also guys, as I said in the beginning of the video, we do have a link to our Discord down below. Right below that is a link to become a member of this channel. We just redid all the perks, really good stuff in there, so check that out. But guys, with all that said, thank you so much for watching this video. Please leave a like, make sure you are subscribed, and we will see you in the next one.